Feathers McGraw. You know, there's a reason why people point to Feathers McGraw as the greatest villain of Wallace and Gromit. He is pretty much Robert De Niro from Cape Fear in this movie. They actually have like a whole montage where it's like him doing chin-ups in his prison, in his zoo prison, just staring at the wall with all these newspaper clippings of Wallace and Gromit, and you just know he's like, I gotta kill them. Because he spent years in prison because they foiled his heist all those years ago, and he's obsessed over them now. He can't let it go. He's like, I have to get out of here, and I have to either kill them or ruin them in some way. I just love that aspect of his character. I've wanted to talk about this movie for the last few days, but I just haven't found the time because I've been so busy working on something else or getting distracted with, errands or chores. But now I have the time, and I want to do a short review of sorts for a film I think you all should check out. And that's the animated movie Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Fowl. Now, for those that don't know, I am a huge Wallace and Gromit fan. I grew up watching the original shorts and specials when I was a kid. Matter of fact, I used to watch them like all the time when they would do like reruns for them on Cartoon Network. And then I think that might have been like the first time I saw them. And I just was so amused by them. I already liked stop motion claymation. I was really into cartoons and stuff. And like during that time, I was also like being raised on like the BBC and Masterpiece Theater and, shows like Keeping Up Appearances and Creatures Great and Small. So I had a bit of a British entertainment upbringing, yes indeed. And I just kind of just gravitated towards that. I thought it was just very funny. And I actually went to my library and I would rent out the collection of Wallace and Gromit shorts because they collected them all on like one VHS tape. And I think every time I would go to the library, every once in a while, I would get that tape and just rewatch them and just fell in love with those characters and their little misadventures, with each other. And, I, like many people who are huge Wallace and Gromit fans, when it was announced that they were going to do a theatrical film in the 2000s, I was super excited because I just love those original, shorts and specials that they did. And of course, that movie was Wallace and Gromit and the Curse of the Were-Rabbit, which went on to great critical success. I think over time it did well commercially, certainly internationally. And I think it won many accolades. I think it won Best Animated Movie at the Oscars and deserved, in my opinion. It just showcased everything that is so great about Wallace and Gromit, from the animation to the humor, just the heart, just how endearing these characters are and how they can be enjoyed across generations and people from all certain walks of life and in different countries. It's just so great. And now we have the sequel to Were-Rabbit, but also a direct sequel to one of the most beloved shorts, The Wrong Trousers, that introduced Wallace and Gromit's greatest enemy, Feather McGraw, a psychotic and evil master thief who also happens to be a penguin with a chicken fetish. And I'm not making that last part up. He's got a weird kink for chickens and likes to pretend to be one. But the overall plot of this movie, which takes place years after the events of The Wrong Trousers and years after, I assume, the events of Were-Rabbit, Wallace and Gromit, they've kind of fallen on hard financial times. They often do. And Wallace invents a robotic garden gnome named Norbot. And he uses this just to kind of help around the house and clear up chores and do various activities, but also to assist Gromit in his gardening. That's one of Gromit's passion. He loves gardening. And he thinks he likes the work of it, the maintenance of it, the cultivating of it. But Wallace is always trying to make his own life easier. He doesn't really understand what Gromit loves to do, and so Norbot just eventually cleans up the garden, much to Gromit's chagrin. But all of, Wallace's neighbors notice this. They're like, we want to go ahead and rent out, Norbot for ourselves. And he's like, oh, shit, yeah, well, it brings in some extra, some money. Sure, but an enemy from the past, Feathers McGraw, he learns about this and he exploits Norbot to seek vengeance against Wallace and Gromit. That's the general premise of the movie itself. Now, the animation for this film, the writing, and the humor, the sight gags are great. Great across the board. I really have no issues with any of those things. And Wallace and Gromit are as lovable and as charming as ever. There's just something so endearing and cute about their relationship, even though they couldn't be more different from each other. Like Wallace, while he has certainly an intelligence of sorts about him. He is an inventor. He's an idiot. He's also just an idiot. And Gromit is he has a better sense of things. He has common sense, unlike Wallace, and ends up having to clean up everything that Wallace causes to kind of go awry. All the various problems that happen between them. And Gromit is very much, kind of like the audience avatar character of us rolling our eyes at all this crazy shit. But you do get a sense that Gromit loves Wallace and Wallace loves Gromit. And they just have this super fun, endearing relationship. And that's on full display in this movie. Perhaps even more so than ever. Now, one thing I wanted to say is, Wallace has previously been voiced by Peter Sallis, ever since like the original short from the late 80s, like 1989. But he passed away in 2017, and so he's not voicing Wallace in this particular movie. He's actually being voiced by Ben Whitehead. The thing is, though, you couldn't even tell the difference. Like, Ben Whitehead, the voice acting for Wallace, is absolutely fantastic. He sounds exactly like Peter Sallis, so tip of my non-existent hat to his incredible vocal performance. But you have some other, great vocal performances in this movie as well. Reese Shearsmith, who voices Norbot, the smart little gnome invented by Wallace to do all these various tasks, he has some of the best gags in the film. Just some of the shit that first of all, I have a love for gnomes. It's so funny because I didn't watch any of the marketing for this film whatsoever. I knew they were making a Wallace and Gromit film. It was going to go to Netflix. Oh, cool, can't wait to see it. But I didn't see a trailer for it. I didn't even know what the premise was. I didn't even know about Feathers McGraw until very recently, and I just kind of watched the film as is. But before that, we did a watch party for it, and we also watched Were Rabbit. And Were Rabbit, there was a bunch of gnomes occasionally be there, like little sight gags or stuff. I just went on about how much I like gnomes, and people were like, "Oh, Chris, you don't even know." And so to find out that a major central plot point for this movie is focusing on gnomes, a gnome bot, I found endlessly amusing, and the stuff that they do with him is so goddamn funny. One, just because he's just kind of like fucking with Gromit a lot of the times. And I think at first it's not, it's not meant to be intentional. Later on, I think that changes throughout the course of the film. But they just have these really cool little gags with him and just the weird, odd noises that he makes. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but he has like a recharging sequence in the film that is hilarious, but also oddly sexual. It just kind of sounds like he's coolman everywhere, and much to Gromit's chagrin. But he's great. But then you have a wonderful supporting cast. You have Peter Kay, who voices Chief Inspector Albert McIntosh, who he reprises his role from Were Rabbit. They do a lot of funny things with him. He's the incompetent, basically, police chief of the town that Wallace and Gromit live in. You also have Lauren Patel as P.C. McJury? I don't know how to say her last name. They even struggled to say it in the movie itself. And she's like the plucky young protege of the chief inspector, and she's pretty fun in the film itself. But the characters that steal the show for me are Gromit and Feathers McGraw. Two characters, funny enough, who share so many similarities, just kind of two sides of the same coin. They're both anthropomorphic, characters, animals. They don't have any voice acting associated with them, but they're incredibly competent. They're very, very smart. And most of the time they battle one another. Just a fantastic rivalry between them. Like Gromit, as I said before, he's very much the audience avatar character. He's the one where they go like, can you believe all these crazy people? And he's great. He's incredibly endearing. He's charming. He's fun. And you just love watching him throughout the movie and cleaning up everyone's a mess, obviously. But Feathers McGraw, there's a reason why people point to Feathers McGraw as the greatest villain of Wallace and Gromit. He is pretty much Robert De Niro from Cape Fear in this movie. They actually have like a whole montage where it's like him doing chin-ups in his prison, in his zoo prison, just staring at the wall with all these newspaper clippings of Wallace and Gromit, and you just know he's like, I gotta kill them. Because he spent years in prison because they foiled his heist all those years ago, and he's obsessed over them now. He can't let it go. He's like, I have to get out of here, and I have to either kill them or ruin them in some way. I just love that aspect of his character. But he's also mixed with Ernst Stravo Blofeld from James Bond, and I'd also see a little bit of Tom Cruise from Mission Impossible, and just in terms of the stunts and the gadgets that he ends up using in the film. He's such a great villain. Anytime Gromit and him go up against each other, it's just fun. And again, they have wonderful action scenes and chase sequence. There's great chase sequence between two boats that ends in a very bombastic fashion where, Wallace and Gromit are basically saying how much they love each other while Feathers McGraw is about to kill one of them. It's just great. Now, is this as good as Wallace and Gromit and the Curse of the Were-Rabbit? No. And the thing is, I'm actually glad I didn't review this at first because I couldn't put my finger on it. Like, why do I like Were-Rabbit a little bit more than this? Inventions of Fowl is a great movie. I highly recommend it. It's my favorite movie, and I know it's early, but it's my favorite movie so far this year because it released in the United States in 2025. But I figured it out after all this time, after a couple of days just thinking about it. There's just not enough supporting characters like Were-Rabbit that were very funny. It's the one thing I think the film needed to be on the same level as Were-Rabbit for me. Like, you have the chief inspector, you have his deputy, you have his protege, but outside of, like, them, then it's just the main characters. Then it's just Wallace, and then it's Gromit, and then it's Feathers McGraw. And that's pretty much it. Maybe some other, like, side, like, tertiary characters pop up. There's this reporter with this very uncanny fucking look that just creeped me out, but in a very amusing way. But, like, in the Were-Rabbit, there were just so many supporting characters in that film. Like, you had the villain by Ray Fiennes, you had Helen Bonham Carter, and you had all the villagers. Like, you had the priest, you had all the various couples and stuff, and they gave them stuff to do, and they were all very funny, and they had their gags, and I just felt like that movie had a little bit more going on in it, and I just felt like how they used some of those supporting characters, tertiary characters, it just made that film even more rich, in my opinion. And I feel like a little bit of that is lacking in Vengeance Most of All, but it's still very good. Honestly, it's great. It's a wonderfully charming, earnest, and beautiful movie that just has, as I said, so much heart and so much humor to it. I could not recommend it more to you guys. And please, I implore you, check it out, especially if you love Wallace and Gromit and those original shorts and specials, and especially if you saw Wallace and Gromit and the Curse of the Were-Rabbit. Now, 20 years ago, it's crazy. It's been 20 years. But yeah, I ended up really enjoying this film. I think it's great, minus my one gripe about I wish there may be more supporting characters. But overall, I think it's a wonderful animated film. The best movie of the year so far. And it's going to be kind of a hard one to beat because typically, Aardman and their Wallace and Gromit stuff, it's top tier. It's really, really great quality stuff. But what about you guys? How many of you have seen? Have you seen Wallace and Gromit and Vengeance Most Fowl? Did you like it as much as I did? Were you more mixed on? Did you not like it? You just don't get it. You don't like all this claymation stop motion. Are you a fan of Wallace and Gromit in general? Let me know.
5 minutes later.
Mukherjee. I can never remember her name. Mukherjee. Yeah, let's see here. Ben White has been voicing Wallace when Peter Sellers was live. Oh, voicing him in video games. Most and other productions. Yeah, because he retired from the character, I think, like, sometime in the early 2010s. But he does a wonderful job. Like, it's like, wow, he sounds exactly like him. Yeah, Chicken Run, there's gnomes. Yeah, fucking gnomes, man. Gnomes, no. Muckagee. The last time someone got in the way of my eyes, I had to, never mind. Alec, thank you so much for your scrub. Even the rabbits had their own purse. That's true. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think there was a bit more going on in Were Rabbit, and it didn't feel bloated. It didn't feel like overwhelming. It's just like, no, everything feels as it should. And Inventions Fowl, it's doing everything right. It just feels like, man, I want more from the town, because they made the town feel like such a character in that first theatrical film. And I think I realized, I'm like, oh, I want more of that, because I liked all these people. Because what they did with them, I never got sick of them. I never got tired of them. I wanted actually more of them, because they were just so much. They added to it felt bigger. It felt a lot bigger in a great way. And I mean, I can imagine as to why they didn't do that, just because they probably didn't have as big I assume, I don't know, but I assume they didn't have as big a budget for this movie. But they use it well. Believe me, they put the money in where it's needed, especially for some of these crazy action sequences that they do, which are really entertaining and stuff, and some great animated bits. And everything in Feathers McGraw is wonderful. But I just need a little bit of that. But it's still great. It's still very good. It was made more of a theatrical feature film. This feels like something almost could be a short, but it's executed. It's executed well enough where it's like, I'm fine with it being a movie. It still works, you know. Yes, we're up there with the classic Wallace and Gromit shorts in previous film. Yeah, it's still really good. It's like Wallace and Gromit Curse the Were Rabbit, Avengers Most Foul. It's like right underneath there. It's very close to each other. I think both of them made a fantastic double feature. We did a watch party for them. I was like, this was great. This was super fun. I'm happy, Nifty Chris, but I love to review the films. Haven't seen it, but I love the Wallace and Gromit stuff, so I know. Oh, I recommend it. I think you'll like it a lot. I feel like they're so strong characters, and their stories don't really need many other characters. You're not wrong. They are. They absolutely are. Personally, I just would have liked to see more of the village and those people, because they just made it feel a bit bigger. I just like that. You'll see the reference in the shorts, because there's a point where there are images of cheese on the screen. One of them is Moon, like, oh yeah, Grand Day Out, that was clever. Yeah. People mentioned that during the watch party. That was pretty funny. I do want to see Artman try new properties, because it feels like they've been going back to their old franchises for the past few years or so. Well, I guess that's the thing. Like, when they've tried to expand, like maybe some of those movies haven't done well. Not critically, I can't say that, but like maybe commercially not perform as well. I didn't watch the Chicken Run sequel, because I love the original Chicken Run. It's fucking great. It's a great prison escape Holocaust movie. The sequel, I just like, eh. And that's what I've heard. I've heard people go like, eh. So yeah. Either that or just keep doing more Wallace and Gromit. It's either do new things or just go back to Wallace and Gromit. Because so far that's been really consistent. That's been the most consistent out of anything they've done. So yeah, great stuff, chat. Highly recommend Wallace and Gromit: Avengers Most Foul.